The Local Government Act No. 2 of 2019 provides for, among other things, democratic participation in and control of decisions by the people at the local level. On the program today, our conversation is with Mr. Robert Chileshe, the Councillor for Kariba Ward. Was 2016 the first time you ever had office as a councillor?
Yes, that was my first time, 2016. I've never been a councillor before, and that was my first time to manage it.
Okay. Give us a short glimpse into your life as a child. What were your aspirations?
My aspirations was to go into religious activities, but on the way, my mind shifted from that. So as I grew up, I found myself under a mechanical institution like Zambia Railways. I worked for Zambia for about 10 years, so that changed my way of life, and I started now thinking of maybe after the retrenchments, I could now start thinking, what am I going to do now next? My mind started shifting into politics, and then I started joining groups and also doing some voluntary works in the community. Not knowing that I was building up my name. As I was volunteering in so many activities in the community, little did I know that I was campaigning that I can be a leader in the community. So when I realized to say, I can do better in politics, I joined the political. That time, MMD first, I joined MMD, then I shifted to PF when PF came in. When PF came in, I shifted to PF, and then there I found myself in structures. So I just developed interests, and then I started thinking of becoming a councillor one day. And when time came when it was advertised that we need councillors, don't have a councillor from this ward, the previous councillor was for MMD, PF had no councillor. So I applied, and I found that I was just myself and about 3 others. So they interviewed all of us. I had the first choice. I was the first choice, and then I stood.
What would you say was your greatest motivation to stand as councillor, and particularly for Kariba Ward?
My motivation was I was observing how other councillors did, and because I was more into voluntary works, and I knew the ward and I knew the areas that I can touch if I was given a chance. So I saw that the slowness of the development of my ward, I think maybe I can also do something if I'm given a chance. Because I know the ward, and I knew all the challenges in that ward. So I said I can do some of this if I'm given maybe a term or so that I move, the ward can be moved to another level.
Okay. Before I come to specifics of what you saw, maybe what was moving at a slow pace, in your very own words, what would you say the role of a councillor is?
The role of a councillor basically is to maybe connect the council to the community. It must be a conduit between the council and the community. So my role is to bring all what the community wants, present it to the council, and what the council can give to take to the community, I also take it to the community, so that there is that connectivity between the community and the council.
Okay, would you recall some of the campaign promises you made, some of the things, as you say, you realized were probably moving at a slow pace, that you told the people of Kariba Ward you would do, that you have actually managed to do?
Yes, one major thing was the road network, because we have at least a good kilometers of road network that needs the gravelling, because you can't set bituminous standards, but for council can do the gravelling, and also we wanted to do some drainages, also the gravelling of the roads, that was on my agenda, and also clearing of the drainages, the many storm drains that comes from town. But because my people were faced with the flooding of areas like Linda, because of the blockages of the drainages, the many storm drains that comes from the CBD, water used to flow into the community. once the drainages are blocked, because they accumulated a lot of sand and the culverts which were there completely blocked. So I could feel to say if we can do some good works to open up those culverts, then water will be following the drainages and then our people will be saved. Because always people are crying, most part Linda and part of Larry's compound.
Were you able to do those things?
Yes, immediately I assumed office and I was funded the first funding of 120 that we are given 120 in a year. So, in fact, lucky enough, the first bunch of our funding came as a lump sum, 120. So I tackled the bridge which was giving our people the most challenging flooding in Linda. We removed all the culverts and we made a good bridge there.
Just in that same 120,000?
We did that one. We also apportioned some money to do the flyover bridge that crosses the rail lines into Zambezi Ward and the Damwa Central. There is a bridge across the rail line because people can't cross the rail line when they are shunting. So they need there's a bridge which was made in colonial time and it was neglected. There were no plans there. So I apportioned the money to do the flyover bridge and the other bridge on the main storm drain. And then we removed the culverts from the main storm drain into the small drainages so that we also open them. We just balance up the community according to drainages. Okay. And that was done.
In doing those things, can you describe your working arrangement with the ward development committees and the mayor and the town clerk? How, of course, you made those promises, but then you work in a structure. How did that happen?
Yeah, usually when we start a year, the mayor calls us to submit the projects that we want to do through our engineering department. So that is the first thing that we start. First we sit as councillors with our mayor. The mayor instructs us to say each ward must come up with a project. You go and sit with the ward development committees, select the according to what people want. You select the projects, submit to engineering department. That's what we do. So that's what I did. First we called the whole community. Although not all of them can come, but representatives from all the zones.
You said you have about 4,000 people in your ward. So when you are taking views as taken as given by the community, in those ward development committee meetings that you called, how many people approximately attended those meetings?
Yeah, there we have a challenge. You know, people from our communities, they like talking and not participating. Usually we have zones. Each area is represented. So when we meet, usually we have at least 20 from each zone. 20 from each zone. So we have about 3 zones. So only about 60 to 70 people do attend. And those are the people who come up with the projects. Then what we will do, we'll just go back we tell the same people, the zone representatives, to go and explain why we have come up with these projects in their zones. Yes.
What have you tried to go about that challenge? Because you said in your own words that the role of a councillor is to act as a conduit between the council and the communities. So if people do not attend the committee meetings, what have you done to ensure that the decisions that are made by you as a councillor, even as part of the ward development committee, are indeed a reflection of the aspirations of the communities you serve?
Yeah, usually, since we have representatives from the same zones, we know you can't rely on all the population, and in fact, we don't have a hall in you use the school. So we may pick on a classroom which can accommodate at least a good number of people. More especially, we do our programs towards the end of the year, December. So we are assured that those people who come will go and disseminate the information to others who cannot manage, because most of them, they go for work, and some of them, they just give excuses. We are businessmen. Those who will be there will represent us. So we get views from those who have come, and then we put them down as a report, and we submit to council. So And then
where exactly at the council? Because I'm aware there's the administrative side and the civic side. When those plans are made by the Ward Development Committee, where are they submitted?
once we come up with a report from the community, we submit it to plans, director plans. Director plans, it takes it into his committee. Then they will liaise with the engineering department, because the engineering department is the one that will implement. The planners will come and see if those things can happen in your heart. Then they will sit and then they will do some, it's like approving to say, no, this can be done. Then they will inform the financial departments to fund us. So once you are funded, they will tell us to say, your money is ready, you can now start implementing. So if you need machinery from council, you approach the engineering department to say, now me, I'm ready with my committee in the ward. Usually the ward development committee, they have to be on the ground and supervise the works. For you, it's a matter of maybe coming to council, accessing the machinery, you arrange with them, the machinery will be in this part of our wards, they will start the works from here. So they themselves, the committee, they will choose maybe 2 or 3 people to be on the ground and start supervising.
Was there any instance where what you aspired to do as a councillor maybe clashes with what the Ward Development Committee as a unit and as the community is actually prioritized as a problem?
Yes, in fact, at first when we were doing the drainage, the main storm drainage and the bridge, there was the other flyover bridge was not on the program. So as it came, because the other bridge was in the other part of our wards. So the other people from this other side, they said, why have you done that bridge and you're not doing this? So I had to sit down again with the committee to say, no, we have to apportion some money, which must go to the other flyover bridge, because there we are going to cater for school-going children and also Makatias who goes to the other side of Livingstone. So if we can balance the two, then at least it will look as if we have done something. But amongst ourselves, some members were not happy, and we started dragging each other. Even after doing that, we
in the Ward Development Committee?
Yeah, from the committee themselves. They said, no, we agreed to do this and maybe do the old drainage. But I said, why can't we balance up? Because we don't know what we'll have next year. So if we can do this and do part of the bridge, because the bridge, the engineer said you can just patch some planks, old ones, you remove the old ones, and those which are weak, so that people can be able to use it. So if you leave it like this, it will dilapidate more and then it will be useless. So we negotiated with the engineer department and said, no, we can apportion some money to this bridge. Why else we are doing that? Because we have already acquired material that can finish that other bridge. So there was that conflict activity where some members did not agree to say, no, we don't want that bridge.
So then how did you resolve it?
Yeah, I had to use some powers that he invested in me, because I was the final person. I said, the only thing we can do, because we have already informed these other people and they have approached us, we sat the majority. So me, I stood on the majority, because I was, that time we had no chairperson, I was acting as a chairperson. So I threw it to the members. What are the majority saying? So the majority had it to say, we have to do the other bridge as well. So I relied on that. We had the minutes and then we apportioned some money to do the other bridge.
Okay, I gotta ask you, you're the only councillor from the ruling Patriotic Front among 17 councillors. Does that affect the way you work?
No, as a council, the way I belong to the council, I can't say it has really affected me. In fact, the way we share the resources is just 50-50. Because per ward, there is the amount of money which is allocated to your ward. So it's up to you the way you use it. No one will come and infringe on your monies or give you what to do. The mayor has been always fair in his dealings. I cannot say as he sidelined me. In fact, I am the first one to submit the projects. Others, they do delay. But me, I always do it as the first person to submit. Usually I'm funded the first one. Yes. When I started doing, that's when others why mwampasa ma machine wa Kariba? But yeah, I submitted early, so we have started, and I have been in fact encouraging others to also follow suit. Otherwise, it has not affected me in any way.
Do you think people understand the role of a councillor as well as they should? I'll say this, as we head towards the elections, a lot of people will be talking about the presidency, who's going to stand as president, who's going to be MP. Yes, they do talk about councillor, but do you think people understand?
There is little knowledge in our community. I think we need to educate our people more. Because what is happening that as previously, councillors used to work with the community as if they are parents of the members in the community. You know, I think the empowerments which were there before and the empowerments the councils are giving councillors nowadays, they are different. Previously, there were no allowances. I think they used to give them maybe, I don't know what the system they were using, although it was abused in the way where they can give them land maybe to administer and all those things. But now a councillor is not allowed to administer land as a councillor, but you administer land as a council, where the council must approve and everyone must attend interviews, including the councillor himself. Now, because people are used to say councillors are there to give out land, to look after people with problems like funerals, buy coffins, collect firewood at funerals, buy meal, and now a councillor of today only have a 3,000 per month, and maybe from a meeting is given a 350 as a sitting allowance, so 3,350. And when there is a funeral, there are about maybe some words, 10 funerals in a, how can he fund those funerals? And that is the challenge that we're having. And people still have that in their minds to say, councillor, his job is to attend to every problem that comes in the ward. They don't know that a councillor's job is to do the developmental part of the aspects in the wards. They don't know that. And very few, like in my ward, because I've been open to them. I don't have big businesses for me to get money from my businesses to help you. My job is to deal with the challenges you are facing, developmental projects, and all those things, not family affairs problems. I can come in where I see that maybe somebody has died in a home, they need transport to take him to hospital. Such things, a councillor can come in and help. But not every funeral that comes that I should sponsor it, I can't manage. So I've been telling them point blank, say, I'm just also a mourner. I'll come as a mourner the way you'll be there. So please, let's unite. And sometimes I encourage them to do some donations. If we have a challenge, maybe somebody dies and has no relatives, I just tell them, bring the books, I sign, you go out, we donate, and then we help that family. And then we are done.
What would you term as the biggest relevance of a councillor, looking at the local government structure where you have the ward development committees, there's the executive committee?
Relevance, I think in this structure now, because we have now ward development committees and we have chairpersons, and a councillor now becomes an ex-officio. So as long as a councillor does not work well with that committee nowadays, you find the councillor is sidelined and the ward development committee wants to do all the projects without maybe working together with the councillor. So we are going to have a situation where some wards, in fact I have an example of one ward which has delayed a program which was supposed to have done, they should have done it last year, but they are doing it this year because of failing to understand one another. Something is coming out where maybe the committees thinks a councillor has nothing to do. We can do without a councillor. And when a councillor comes and then he gives instructions from the offices to say, don't implement this program because we have not agreed, and then the program delays. So the councillor must always be given that respect to say, he's the one who's supposed to be a conduit.
To be given the respect, or the councillor should be understanding of the community problems, because I think
not the respect as well as maybe to consider him to be very important. That's what I mean. He must be considered to be that he's an instrument to use in the ward, not to throw him as if he has nothing to do in the ward. But they must use him as an instrument.
But isn't it the role of the councillor to be proactive? Because the ward development committees are selected as representatives of the communities. So is it the committees to do something about making the councillor relevant, or it's for the councillor to do something to make sure he or she remains relevant?
Yeah, I think both ways. They just have to understand each other's role. Because if the committee does not understand the role of the council and the council does not understand the role of the committee, there is that always a conflicts. And once there are conflicts, it's people suffers. And that is happening in most of the wards because in fact, recently we had some trainings from ZDI, something like that. There's an organization that is helping us to make sure that we understand our role and how best we can work together. So a councillor can want to show that he is more relevant than the committee. Or at times the committee may want to show that they are more relevant than the councillor. And then in the long run, there is that conflicting factors and then they fail to work as a team. But if they can work as a team, the councillor knows what he can do and he knows that he's a servant of the community and they can use him at any time as possible. But if he wants to do things on his own, then that is again a mistake because the community won't understand him. Others, they will be thinking he's a dictator of some sort. And for those who are civilized, they will maybe fail to use him as they are too.
Are there any campaign promises you had made you have not been able to do anything about?
Yes, because I have an area which is under Zambia Railways, the single quarters. I promised that if I'm elected into office, I will renovate their ablution blocks. But I've applied about twice for CDF. I have not been given. I applied also for last year's ward fund. Wanted to apportion some money to do maybe 2 or 3 ablution blocks which are very dilapidated. Now the problem is that because of this COVID, this year's projects are not funded. Because last year when we sat, we included those ablution blocks. So we expected that this year, once we are given money, a certain percentage will go to do those ablution blocks. But we were just told this year they are not going to fund us because of the situation that we have found ourselves in. So the toilets are still dilapidated, and I don't know how I'll campaign that area because I promised. But I can explain to them to say I have failed because of this. If I had money, I would have done that. And I'm trying to source maybe from the pattern from the well-wishers that if they can maybe fund us with, according to the project, the proposal that we had, we can do 1 or 2. Because they are really in problem. The families have expanded and they are still using the same ablution blocks they left to Zambia Railways. But those people are sold the structures, the rooms, but the ablution blocks have to be maintained by all of them. Now it's like they can't cooperate and maintain. So things are going towards.
Okay, and finally, what would you say to people that voted but have never seen you? That's a very big complaint that we get from the communities,
Yes.
that, we vote for these people, they don't show up. But equally, they also voted, but have not taken any steps. What do you have to say?
Yeah, what I have to say is that anyway, each one of us has to improve on his failures. Because people want to see their councillor always moving around in the communities, but also councillors programs to attend to. There are party programs, there are church programs, there are also community programs. But if they have seen me doing some projects in their areas, which means I have shown myself, I have been with them, I understand the challenge they are facing. But also, members of the public, they are supposed to visit me and interact with me. Now, what is there in the community is that they will talk to you, they will talk about you when they are drinking. This councillor does not visit homes. Now, for you to see if I can start visiting, because if I want to visit each home, I will need a month or 2 for me to interact well with those people until I finish the one. But while I want to do that, there are other programs that I have to attend to. So I'll just I can only urge members to say they are free to visit. That's why a councillor is supposed to be in the ward, and I'm within the ward. If there are challenges and they have some question they want to ask, it's a matter of calling me. Where are you? Come when we meet somewhere. The way you called me. Can't we meet at this point and then we want to talk to you? One or two have done that. And others, they have visited me. I just came to see you, councillor. What are you doing? When are you going to do that project? In the meeting, we agreed about that, what is happening, so that you are able to explain, oh, there is no funding here. Next time we are going to do this. Oh, this year we are going to do this. Very few are doing that, but the majority, they will remember you when there is a funeral and when something has happened, the community. That's when they say, where is the councillor? So I like to say a councillor is a person that you can interact with him on a daily basis. And it's a person that the door is open to everyone. He cannot lock up himself. But sometimes I can be found home and I need people to come and say, councillor, why can't you improve here? I want you to do this. Because from there you learn and then you pick it up and see how you can now also take it up and maybe inform the relevant authority to say people want to do this.
And on that note, we come to the end of today's episode of Local Pulse. Now, in many ways, Livingstone, the tourist capital of Zambia, is an ongoing revolution. The pace at which development takes place is in part determined by the City Council. As such, next week's program will be a discussion forum to talk about many issues affecting the city of Livingstone. We hope you will join us. As always, we would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or suggestions about the program, send them to localpulse@quadcommunications.org or call us on 0977 586 506. Thank you for your time.